want to do this. Alex! Over here! Rubber! No! Damn it! Okay.
Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. Can we talk for a minute about how much shit in popular culture has been inspired by Warhammer 40k? Because it is a ton of things. First of all, the Zerg in StarCraft. StarCraft was originally meant to be sort of a Warhammer game, but it kind of turned into its own sort of thing. But even though it did, a ton of it is still, obviously inspired by Warhammer. Space Marines, I don't need to say anything more. Thors are clearly sort of dreadnoughts. Battle cruisers are, just basically cruisers from 40k. Marauders are clearly Terminators. Space Marines are obviously just Space Marines. SCVs are clearly Tech Marines. Yeah, it goes on and on. That's just the Space Marines. After that, you have the Zerg. The Zerg are clearly Tyranids. Creep is obviously the spreading biomass and spores of the Tyranids. Corruptors are clearly Tyranid dropships. Gaunts are Zergs. Hydralisks are not far off those tunneling ones. I forget what they're called. You've got Ultralisks, which are clearly Carnifexes. It's 1-to-1, guys, come on. Also, the spreading of, obviously, the hive mind and all that sort of thing, and the spreading of the biomass to consume everything. It's the same principles as Zerg, like, clearly.
Come with me. Check. I got you covered. You're under attack!
And then, on top of that, you've got your Protoss, which are clearly the Eldar, right? Not a 1-to-1, like the Eldar's mechs are run by soul stones, which contain the souls of, deceased Eldar and everything like that. The Eldar can do space magic and stuff, as similar to the Protoss with their storms and all that sort of thing. Teleporting, yada yada yada. It goes on. Ship design is sharp, curved, elegant, same deal. Protoss are clearly the Eldar. Alright, after that, what do you have? Well, how about Starship Troopers? How about the bugs in the arachnids in Starship Troopers? Run by a hive mind, insectoid, kill everything, spread, reproduce at a massive rate. And then you have a sort of semi-fascistic society, militarist society, that is warlike, which is clearly the Imperium. It's like 1-to-1. They court-martial people. They hold people accountable. Human wave attacks, usually resulting in mass casualties, just like the Imperium. Exact same deal. Exact same deal. Bugs are the Tyranids, and the Imperium are the Federation. That's like 1-to-1. Not exactly the same, but clearly inspired by it.
Done.
What do you have next? Well, in the original Alien, there were deleted scenes where the alien was using deceased crew members' biomass to create new eggs. I'm not sure if that's canon, if the aliens can properly do that, or they need to metamorphose into a queen to lay the eggs, but the deleted scenes from the original Alien are exactly the same thing. What do you have in the second Aliens movie? You have colonial marines, which are clearly just like an extension of the Imperium, combating aliens that are spreading in like an organic sort of hive, which is resin, where they've kidnapped mass colonists and they're using them to incubate their young. That to me sounds a lot like gene stealers doing the same deal to give, birth to other gene stealers, which are a Tyranid offshoot. So, like, that again is Tyranids. So what do we have so far? We've got one of the most popular games ever in StarCraft, clear 1-to-1, at least inspired by Warhammer 40k. We've got Alien, which is clearly inspired by 40k, which is probably the best science fiction horror slasher ever made. And then you've got one of the best science fiction action thrillers in Aliens, like ever made, also inspired by Warhammer 40k. And then after that, you've also got Starship Troopers, which is, well, the leftists have, kind of co-opted that with the movie, attempting to make it like a parody against like fascistic society, even though the novel was very, very different. You've got one of the best parodies, which is, just appreciated as an action war thriller pretty much. One of the best of them ever, also inspired by Warhammer 40k. So bam, right off the bat, one nearly 10 out of 10 game, and 3 or 4 at least 9 out of 10 movies. Then you have, on top of that, like aspects from other absolutely great media as well. Like the Berserk TV series, or series, I guess you'd just say, and the Berserk Golden Age arcs, which are just like 3 separate standalone movies sort of thing. You've got aspects of them, like, for example, the main villains in Berserk wind up being 4 demon godlike enemy entities called the God Hand, and you see a lot of similarities between the God Hand and the 4 Chaos Gods in Warhammer 40k. For example, you've got Slaanesh, the Changer of Ways, behaves very similar in function to the Void, which is just, he's sort of the lead of the God Hand and representative of causality, whereas the Changer of Ways is obviously change, which is essentially change from predestined outcome, which is like, basically it behaves the same as causality. Then you got the big fat dummies. You got what's his name? It's Conrad. Conrad's the chubby one that seems to be, at least in my opinion, I'm not sure if this is confirmed, he appears to be religious ecstasy and just obesity. Because he always seems to appear to be singing and stuff like that. That's what it comes across as me. But he seems to be largely not as malevolent as the other ones. That, to me, echoes Nurgle, which is one of the Chaos Gods, which is the god of disease and all that sort of thing, disease, nature, etc. And because he's god of disease, nature, etc., he has like a very comparatively gentle nature. Like, he tries to remove suffering and stuff, but he also uses his victims slash followers to create new diseases and be ships for diseases and all that sort of thing. Life in general. Like, he's sort of like a corrupt version of Gaia. In addition to those ones, you also have what's his name? Slanesh, the god of pleasure in Warhammer 40k. And you have a pretty much a mirror image of Slanesh with Slan, which is the gigantic, angelic, whorish angel figure in the God Hand. So, the only real difference there is, in the God Hand, there is no entity for wrath and war like Khorne. Instead, you get a little bit of a doubling up. Like, the one we haven't talked about is Ubik. And Ubik is the one with the glasses that looks like a wood mouse. He appears to be the trickster slash, what would you say? Kind of like a changer of ways also. So in my opinion, they doubled up with the Void and Ubik. And they kind of split apart the changer of ways, Zanch, with them two characters, rather than having the embodiment of war in Khorne. War, slaughter, anger, wrath, that whole deal. There is a little tiny bit of overlap with, I guess, what would you say, Femto and Khorne? Not a lot. Femto more represents will to power and ambition than Khorne, which is like wrath, war, that sort of deal. Power through violence. So, there you go. God Hand has significant overlaps with the Chaos Gods in 40k. But, that's not the only media, like, there either. For example, warp travel. Demons in the warp, that whole deal. Having another realm with demons in it. That's, been used in a ton of media. Like, I'm not saying Warhammer 40k invented that idea, but it is certainly popularized it, and it's used there a lot. Another movie that springs to mind is, it's not exactly a great movie, it's an okay movie, I guess you'd say, but Event Horizon. It's sort of like a one-to-one parallel of warp travel in 40k without the Gellerfield on. They attempt a similar thing in Event Horizon. They use essentially travel through an ultimate dimension using a singularity, and it turns out the dimension they go through is populated entirely by malevolent evil, which subsequently possesses the entire crew and has them rape, murder each other, and also infects the ship with, I guess you'd say, sentient evil. So basically demons. That to me is like a one-to-one with Warhammer 40k, warp travel without the Gellerfield on. Yeah, so look, Warhammer 40k has got another one in the books, in my opinion. Another one in my opinion, although it probably came first, at least the originals came first, would be something like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That has a ton of overlap with things like the Gene Stealers cults. I'm more talking about the Donald Sutherland one than the original one. Then, of course, you have things like the Iron Hands, Warriors Legion, and the Mechanicum, which essentially try to replace all flesh with mechanical components, and that's like probably influenced a ton of different movies and media and stuff to do with that specific theme. Movies like Virus, even though Virus was, you know, pretty goddamn awful, if we're being honest, it wasn't a good movie. Like, it had some interesting elements with like the suicidal salvage captain right at the start, and then the finding of the derelict, but after that it fell the fuck apart really badly. Then you have other stuff which is like a little bit more grey, which may or may not be some inspiration for it. Like stuff like Hellraiser, where it has basically an ultimate dimension with hellish figures called Cenobites in them. The Cenobites are masters of pain and pleasure, basically experience. That idea overlaps a ton with not only the warp and demons, but specifically demons associated with Slaanesh and traitor legions associated with Slaanesh, like the Emperor's Children, who basically seek pleasure, seek experience, that sort of thing, like as well as they can sort of deal. To the point of self-mutilation, when the distinction between pleasure and pain as just simply experience blends. So yeah, a lot of that to do in the Hellraiser series as well. In addition to those, you have things in Warhammer 40k, which are like the dark age of technology, where technology basically nearly wiped out mankind, sort of put a reset on things. That has a lot of similarity with franchises like the Terminator and that. And then after all that, you have like just the sort of fleeting ones, like the Flood from Halo could theoretically be Tyranid inspired, or inspired by other things that were inspired by Tyranids. You've got things like Doom, where you have Marines who open portals theoretically to Hell, but could easily be the Warp, and subsequently end up fighting demons and stuff. Like that could easily be considered Warhammer 40k inspired. After that, you have Quake, the Quake series. More the first game of Quake rather than the second. The second delved into a alien race that mixes a lot of its shit with technology rather than it being demon related. And you also have just regular Warhammer and Warhammer's inspirations on fantasy. I don't know anything about Warhammer, so I'll leave that to other people. But I've heard that it has had inspirations on things like Dragon Age and stuff like that.
Okay. Oh, God.